So the next video I want to do is it's about Ricky Bernardo back in Connecticut. This guy, Ricky Bernardo, we called him Ricardo Bernardo. Great guy. Anyway, I want to show you where I'm at right now. This is what I'm looking at as I'm videoing this and recording this. And yesterday, 3 deer went lopping by. It was great. Anyway, here we go. Hope that wasn't too fast. Anyway, so that's where I'm sitting right now. That's what I'm looking at. I love this spot. This is a Railroad Bridge Park. Used to be the like the down below parking spot. And Charlie, this is where I met Charlie. Just told him my story about the lady killing her husband. He said, man, come down here. Used to get away from my mom. I'd come down here and sleep in my Chevy S10 Blazer. Man, I loved it. The back, I slept in there perfectly. Wish I hadn't gotten rid of it. The engine blew up. It actually did. You could see the rods and stuff in there, Chevy. Anyway, Ricky Bernardo, my parents back in Connecticut, they would pick up wayward souls. Even before that, back when my dad was going to, the University of Oregon, and they're living in university housing, this guy, Nick Parrott, came by and selling life insurance. And my parents, they can't afford life insurance, but he comes in, drinks a cup of coffee, and they became fast friends. We moved back to Connecticut, and they moved back to Buffalo, New York. And we used to go visit them. That was like our annual New Year's Eve trip, was to go up and visit the Parrots. And they had a son and 2 daughters, mine and Leslie's age and Pete's age. So we all got along. He played hockey, and he wanted to be brutal with me, and I just I ain't good enough at hockey to do that. Anyway, so we end up in Connecticut. They'd pick up these wayward souls. I mean, I remember there was this Filipino family. We used to go camping with them and stuff. And, this guy was in the Navy, on a submarine back there, back in Groton. All my friends, everybody's dad, man, was a submariner. I mean, they were so sharp. One of the things I remember, man, they were all on the ball. I remember going, a neighbor across the street was like the XO. I mean, he was a second command of this sub, and he invited us on for Christmas Day, man. We went in there and had eggnog and stuff, and just how the sailors, man, he was there, man. They snapped their heels together. They were, yes, sir, no, sir. I mean, it was just like he was God. I was like, wow, man, too bad I can't go underwater, want to be something like that. Not me. But anyway, that was such a difference moving to Bremerton and the quality of sailors. I'm getting ahead of myself a lot. I remember they had this one guy was a sailor, probably 19 years old, far away from home, come over. My parents invited him for dinner. These people would just be at our dinner table, and I liked it. It was kind of cool that, my parents would take these wayward souls in and, just befriend them. And it's Ricky Bernardo was one of them. And, he became good friends with my parents. And, come over, drink beer, have dinner, like I said. So we moved to Connecticut. I'm in 3rd grade. We moved to Groton, Connecticut. Looked down at the Thames River. There's that bridge there, man. The subs would come in and out, and it's like the poor sailors were standing on deck, man. We're waving at them. We could see them. We were that close, like maybe, 300, 400 yards away, and second place we moved in 4th grade, we moved to this little town called Gales Ferry, Connecticut. Man, and that was the time back then when, ferry turned into a fag, and it was like I was teased mercilessly, and that 4th grade was also the time I started being on a swim team. That's when I started, swimming 4 times a week, go to meets, weekends, and, as a kid, you get in a fight. It just happens, you have to, man. You have to stand up for yourself sometime. And my thing, it took me, I probably realized this like 10 years ago, looking back, But my way to win a fight was to, I'd get you in a headlock and I ain't letting go, and over the years, man, my mom used to go, oh man, your shoulders are broadened out, and I was muscular, man. My arms were built. I mean, from being on a swim team, man, I'd get these guys, man, they could punch me, you survive 1 or 2 punches, man, you got them in a headlock, and I ain't letting go till some adult or somebody else is peeling me off them, and then they're crying and mercy, and that's just the way and they don't mess with you after that. So anyway, that was like one of the benefits of being on a swim team. I got a list here of things I want to talk about. Gales Ferry, man, just God, I was teased mercilessly. Even in Scouts, I was teased, man. Gales Ferry had the greatest neighborhood. It was a big loop road in our neighborhood, and we had the best hide and seek game. These kids had made this hide and seek game before we moved in, and you go walk around the neighborhood and you can't get ahead of them, or they can't get behind you or something. So I mean, it made it really interesting. Had a lot of fun. That's where, if you ever look closely at me, 6 inches away, you'll see right here on my forehead, across the street, 4th grade, so I was held back a year, so I was 9 years old, I think. And dinner is ready. My mom's saying, go get your brother, little Pete, so I'm 9, he's 6 years younger, that means he's 3. Maybe I was 10 and he was 4, because he was across the street on this big rock, maybe a big 20-foot rock that you could climb up the back. It was on the neighbor's property. And I come running up, go, Pete, dinner! And he takes this stone and he throws it at me and catches me right here. And, I remember my dad, I'm screaming. My dad's coming running out of the house like Hulk Hogan, ripping his T-shirt off, man, to staunch the flow of blood, and that was one of my many... where my skin was opened. I have a lot of them. I'll probably talk about them all eventually. Anyway, that was funny. Peter, man, is like, well, you were there. I think that's what he told my mom. It was like, oh, God, you little turd. That's why I always tormented him later in life, because he deserved it. Ricky became, eventually he became an assistant scoutmaster in our troop. I was in scout troop, troop 55 back there, man, and my dad was great friends with the scoutmaster. They sat down every December and they planned out every camping trip for the next year, and we went camping every month. Rain, snow, sleet, sunshine, anything, we went camping, backpacking, jamborees, we were going camping. And so I remember my dad saying that there was a stretch there where we went 13 months in a row where we had precipitation, snow or rain, and I remember the first time I went camping, we had these big 8-man tents with no floors, they're great. And we set up camp, I think is, Friday, everybody's getting off work, so it's really late, you're getting there set up, and I wake up at, I don't know, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. There's just a stream of water going right through where I am, right down the middle of this tent. I mean, we were all soaking wet. It was just horrible. And I remember, we go to our dad, and, the scoutmaster, and you're going, hey, and they're going, and the scoutmaster goes, let them deal with it themselves. I remember sitting in my dad's little Fiat, I don't know, maybe Datsun B210, man, and he's yelling out, don't turn the headlights on, don't run the wipers. I just sat in his little stupid car, man, till the morning. And, next day was sunny. Actually, we were lucky, man. We got to dry everything out. But, from that point on, I never, ever got wet camping again. I'd know where to set the tent up, where there's, anyway. So that was a good thing with that, But he said, let them deal with it themselves. I was like, man, thanks a lot. Anyway, so we got through that. Ricky became a assistant scoutmaster and backpack, and kept up. That's a big thing. People can't keep up. I'll talk more about backpacking on my dad video. He was great. He'd buy something and he'd buy me the same thing, same quality. I loved it, man. I had the best equipment of all the kids in our patrol. And Ricardo, he bought this dark blue Fiat X19, little two-seater car. You know, it's beautiful. I love that car. And, you know, him being part of the family, you know, we'd go to scouting events, you know, so he's driving and, you know, you want to ride, Johnny? And it's like, yeah, man, I'll go. That sounds good, man. So we sit there, you know, listen to music, and he's driving this little sports car. How you drive a sports car, you drive it differently than you do my truck, that's for sure. And, I mean, I loved it, you know, and, I think, you know, he would come by like every once in a while, just, you know, like, hey, I'm going to do something. Do you want to tag along? And it's like, you know, Leslie, if maybe it was Leslie's turn or my turn, and we'd both go, you know, get to go. One of us would get to go, and you know, so it was kind of cool, man. Scouting events, you know, like we're all going, so you just, hey, Johnny, you know, and I I begged him. I begged him to teach me to drive that car. I begged him, and he wouldn't do it, man. And that was probably the smartest thing he ever did. Anyway, I was with him one time. I think we were meeting my dad or something somewhere. Some reason he was, I don't know. And it was dark, and we're on this windy road, and he's doing his thing, and we come across, he didn't hit it, but we come across this baby deer in the middle of the road that somebody had hit and, you know, driven off and didn't know, I don't know. And so we stop, and in the headlights, we're looking at this thing, and we get a rock, and, you know, I'm looking at it, you know, and I'm going, I can't do this. And he's looking at it, and he can't do it. And we ended up driving off. I feel so bad that we did that to that baby deer, man. You know, if I'm going to hell, that's why, you know, because we should have, you know, to put it out of its misery, that would have been the merciful thing to do. You know, it was interesting that neither of us could do it. We were driving along one time, and he pulls over. I'm pretty sure it wasn't scouting, because I never, ever saw him at scouting do, you know, smoke pot and shit, but we're driving along, and he pulls over, and he takes a hit off his pipe, and he's, you know, I go, you know, hey, Ricky, man, hey, you know, let me have a hit, man. Let me try that. And, you know, a good friend of mine, Dave Ishman, was 2 years older than me. I was in 8th grade. I think he was a freshman. I think he was a sophomore at that time. He was 2 years older than I was. And, you know, he experimented, but David and I had never, you know, together. We spent a lot of time camping and just, you know, being young boys together, and, you know, so Ricky says, no, man, I'm not, you know, no. I won't do this. And you know, I always appreciated that he did that. You know, the good friend of his family, you know, the family isn't going to get their son stoned. You know, that I was like, I thank you, you know, Ricky. I'm glad you did that. But before we moved back from Connecticut to Bremerton, and I was in 8th grade, halfway through the year. Ricky Ricardo had bought this beater car, and there were 6 ounces of this weed in the spare wheel compartment thing, and he gave my parents an ounce of this stuff, and I'm you know, it just hit me today. I'm going, I wonder if he gave it to them or did they buy it. I'm like, you know, I have no way of ever knowing. So anyway, so he sells in this, and, you know, I think Leslie found it when we were in Connecticut and told me about it. I'd seen it. I didn't touch it. I didn't smoke any pot in Connecticut at all, ever. You know, thank you, Ricky Bernardo. You know, I really appreciate that. You know, you didn't start that for me. And so we moved to Bremerton, and my dad doesn't like to smoke marijuana. My mom, you know, kind of did, and she's got this, you know, ounce hidden in her bathroom. And, you know, both Leslie and I find it, and, you know, I bet I smoked half of it, one hit at a time, half a hit at a time. God, John. Anyway, so indirectly, Jamaican. I mean, I'm thinking, how in the hell does he know it's Jamaican if he just finds this in this car he buys? I mean, like, really? I mean, unless, you're the one that bought the car from, Jamaica and had it shipped, and there's actually, you put 6 ounces in there. I mean, that 6 ounces doesn't seem to be enough to, try to get away with something like that. But I mean, how did he know it was Jamaican if he just found it in his car? I mean, it was really good weed. I remember that. And so the first time I got stoned, was in Bremerton. CK Junior High was my 11th school. CK High School was my 12th. I'm like, man, I was so tired of moving. I was so tired of one more time making new friends, one more time watching and see what the unwritten rules were that you had to follow and, to get along. And I mean, I got in with the bad crowd. I got in with the stoner crowd. And, God, this kid, Baker was his last name. What was his first name? If I'll come up with it. He, in that group, when we moved to Bremerton, there was about 6 or 7 of us kids, all in 8th grade, same grade, and we started, I had a little bit of, pot I could get, and, so we were smoking pot and we're getting stoned. And this Eddie Baker, was that his name? His parents, he was a single kid, and his parents saw that this was happening, and they ended up pulling him out of school, selling their house. They went, put him in treatment or something, moved somewhere else. And I'm going, like at the time you're going, oh man, that's too bad, man. That sucks. Your parents do that shit, but, looking back, man, I wish I had parents that would have done that for me, that just cared that much that they were just going to uproot their life and just change everything so that, try to make you better. And anyway. So indirectly, Ricardo Bernardo got me stoned the first time because it was his weed, and all I can say is thank God for AA, and thank God for getting sober when I was 23 years old and having a life and raising kids and a family and a business and, just all that stuff. And, I wanted to talk about Ricky Bernardo and just that. Always, take it to my grave. I appreciated that he did not. He said, no, I will not do that, Johnny. I'm going, okay. So anyway, just kind of keep the timeline, that's what I wanted to make this video. God bless all of you.